Hello everyone, my name is David Oni. Welcome to another segment of intellectual brainstorming and sharing of ideas. And we want to use this medium to thank most of you that have subscribed to our channel on YouTube, David Oni. And we also want to use this medium to encourage every one of you to go out there and subscribe to our channel, like our channel, leave your comments and press the notification button so that when we bring up videos like this, you can always benefit from it. Today we're going to look at a topic called democracy. Democracy. Now we're going to define the word democracy. Democracy can be defined as a system of government where qualified adult citizens share supreme legal power directly or through their elected representatives. It can also be defined as a system of government based on the consent of the governed. Now, this is the definition of democracy. We say that it's a system of government where qualified adult citizens. Who are the qualified adult citizens? They are people that have attained the age of 18 years and above. They are the qualified adult citizens. And these qualified adult citizens, they share the supreme legal power. The power is actually supreme legal power because why? It is according to the constitution. It is according to the rules and the regulations. It is according to the norms, the precepts, the tradition, the customs, according to which a society is governed or regulated. So they share this power directly or through the elected representatives. When we say they share this power directly, we are referring to the ancient Greek city-state of Athens. Greek city-state of Athens. We're referring to the ancient city-state of Athens. So what happened in the ancient city-state of Athens? In the ancient city-state of Athens, it was a small state and the population was very, very small. So it was very easier for them to share that power directly by attending the assembly together and taking decisions on how to govern the society. However, unfortunately, in the ancient Greek city-state of Athens, women were being disenfranchised and also the various classes of slaves were not allowed to participate in the process of decision making. It was only the citizens of Greece and also the qualified adult males that are allowed to participate in decision making. Then we also talk about the elected representatives. Now we're talking about elected representatives, we are talking about what we call indirect democracy. Indirect democracy, which we're still going to discuss in our subsequent discussion. Then we also talk about the fact that it can also be defined as a system of government based on the consent of the governed. We're talking about a system that is called political sovereignty. Political sovereignty. We're talking about political sovereignty. And what is political sovereignty? Political sovereignty is the power that is given to the people to decide who should be their elected representatives. So that's what we're talking about here. Then we also look at what we call Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln said democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So we have three definitions here. According to Abraham Lincoln, he said that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That is Abraham Lincoln. So then let us now look at types of democracy. Types of democracy. types of democracy. We have number one, Athenian, direct or classical democracy. Then we also look at number two, indirect representatives or what we call liberal or what we call modern democracy. So there are just two of them. We have Athenian democracy, we have a direct or classical democracy, and number two, we have what we call direct representatives, liberal or modern democracy. What is a Athenian democracy? We are talking about a democracy where people collectively decide on how to take decision on how to move the society forward. So it was actually practiced during the ancient Greek state of Athens. Then we also talk about indirect democracy. It's a type of democracy where people elect those that will represent them in the parliament and other positions in the government. This type of democracy is not a direct democracy but an indirect one, because the people are the one electing, that the one voting for those that will represent them in the government. So the power is transferred indirectly to the elected representatives by the citizens, by the electorate, and the electorate they constitute what we call political sovereignty. Now let us now quickly look at the factors that led to the development of democracy. Factors that led to development of democracy. Number one, we have what we call religion. Number two, we have disintegration of state authority. Disintegration of state authority. Then number three, we have intellectual write-ups. Then number four, we have American Revolution. Then number five, we have French Revolution. Then number six, we have rise of nationalism. And let us quickly look at them one after the other. When you talk about religion, religion is one of the factors that led to the growth of democracy, because all men are created equal by God. And because all men are created equal by God, every man should have equal opportunity to vote and being voted for. So religion does not discriminate. So religion that says that God created all man equal actually led to the development of a democracy, because why? It recognizes the right of man to vote and be voted for. It recognizes the right of man to life. It recognizes the right of man to property and estate. It also recognizes the right of a man to religion itself. So the religion also led to the growth of democracy. Then disintegration of state power authority. When Roman Empire fell, feudal monarchies emerged, and under feudal monarchies, it was talking about the period where monarchies or kings were ruling. So at that period in time, the monarchs or the kings do not have absolute power, because their power was constituted or subjected to a constituted legislative authority. So even though they were monarchs at that time, but they were ruling according to the rules and the regulation. So because of this led to the development of a democracy. The intellectual write-ups. We're talking about people like John Locke. We're talking about people like J.S. Mills. We're talking about people like Baron de Montesquieu. We are talking about a lot of them, A.V. Dicey and the rest of them. These guys, they wrote a lot of things on the democracy, on the right of man. For example, John Locke wrote on what we call the social contract. John Locke wrote on what we call the social contract. And according to him, any rule that does not reflect the aspiration and desires of the people is not a law. It's not a law, it's not a law at all. So John Locke wrote on a lot of things on democracy. He said that man has the right to property, to life, and to estate. He has the right to life, to property, to estate. He has the right to everything. So the state cannot limit the right of a man. That's what John Locke is talking about there. Then we have the American Revolution. The American people, they wanted democracy, but they were being ruled by the British. So along the line, they had to revolt against the the governors that were being constituted by the British, and due to that, they were able to win this revolution. And when they won this revolution, they came up with their own, with their own independence, and they came up with their own constitution. And that constitution actually allowed for what? For the freedom of man, for the freedom of democracy. It allows what? That all men are created to be equal. And because all men are created to be equal, which is still in the American Constitution, this led to the emergence of democracy. Then French Revolution. During the French era, the kings were operating on what we call absolute monarchy system. But along the line, the people also revolted against the absolute monarchy system because their kings or their queens or whosoever they are at that time were not favoring their interests. And because of that, they were able to win this revolution, thereby instilling what? A constitutional monarchy system. And because of the constitution, because they were able to constitute this constitutional monarchy system, they were able to recognize the right of every French citizen under the French state, which led to the development of democracy as well. Then the rise of nationalism. After the First and the Second World War, man began to realize that all men are created to be equal, and that God does not create one man above any other man. So for that reason, people were able to begin to create a lot of movements. They were able to sensitize, to educate the people on the right for them to be the one to decide their own destiny, for them to be able to gain independence. And you could realize that after the gain of their independence, most of them became democratic in nature. So the rise of democracy was possible because of the rise of nationalism. Now let us now look at what we call features or characteristics of democracy. Features or characteristics of democracy. Features of democracy. Number one, we have what we call regular and periodic election. That's number one. Number two, minority rights must be recognized. Then number three, majority rule. Number three is majority rule. Number four, recognition of opposition. Number five, adoption of rule of law. Number six,